we returned to this series already. I got both books at the same time, so I made sense to do both books. Especially since I kinda liked the first one. It had its problem, but overall I had a good time. Honestly, that's what matters to me. A book doesn't have to be perfect for you to enjoy it. You can enjoy something and know of all flaws, and that's not a problem at all to me. Now, let's talk about this book here. Iron Flame is the second book in the Empyrean series that currently consists of 2 books, with a third on its way, and it seems there'll be 5 books in total. It was first published in November 2023 by Red Tower Books, and it currently stands at a 4.3, 4.4 out of 5 on Goodreads, with about 900,000 ratings and 110,000 reviews. So it also has been reviewed and read by a lot of people. Well, not necessarily read, you don't need to read books to review them on Goodreads. It's kind of weird. Well, they can't really check anyways, I guess. From what I can understand, the release of this book caused some controversy. From what I could gather, less than 5 minutes of research, mind you, the book that was sent out at first were filled with printing errors and just sloppiness. And I don't care. It is sloppy, it is wrong, but I wouldn't blame the author for something that's not their job. And to be honest, I don't think Yaris knew about it before anybody else did. She might, I assume an author, you get a couple of books for reading out, looking through, does it look okay? But if you're just lucky and you get the one version that looks good, then how are you to know? So yeah. Also, some people have called this fast fantasy due to how fast and sloppy the writing seemed. And yeah, it isn't the most high of literary works, but it's far from the worst that I've seen. And I do believe, this is my theory, that she wrote book 1 and 2 around the same time, probably in conjunction. I don't know if it's true or not, but it seems plausible, and there are some things that make sense for it. Now let's talk about the cover here. And the covers is very similar to the first book, eerily close. The pattern on the cover is practically the same. I do actually believe it's the same. And it feels both great and sloppy at the same time. It's kind of wild. Because on one hand, it ties the 2 books really great together. On another hand, that you do nothing else is also just boring to me. And I kinda want them to be at least different in some ways. You can reuse the pattern, but then modernize it a little, enough so it looks differently enough. I don't know. Especially because it doesn't take place at the school anymore. Spoiler, I don't know. It's a spoiler-full review, so. Now, choosing this copper rust color for the background highlights both the iron and the flame in the book title, and I like that a lot. And there's also versions where, from what I can tell, the symbol has been set on fire. That's great. It works great with the Rebellion Revolution theme going on. But even though I like the symbolism, I don't think it's executed as well as it could have been. So it just ends up feeling kinda lazy to me. So while it's not a bad cover, the fact that it's practically just the first book's cover ruins it a little for me. But let's talk about what's actually the most important part, what's inside of the book. I do like how this book starts out where Fourth Wing ended. It does also add to my theory they were written in conjunction to each other, so yep. Something that we right away that I do like is that Violet is not trusting Brennan nor Satan, and that's how it should be. But one of them have been playing dead. Well, playing. More like hiding and trying to control the rebellion, but to her it seems like he's been playing dead. And the other one has been lying to her. And I know all the arguments for why he did it, but I understand why she feels hurt. Now, something else. I loved Adana in the first book. I thought she was so cute as the little baby dragon thing. Her being grown up to being a sassy teen is also just so good. I love the sass that she has. I just think it's so fun with how Tam tries to, and keeps being like, adolescences. He's basically going like children. It's so good. And so more stuff, because there's a lot of things this book does in the beginning that I like, and I do also like how the plan to surprise everyone and show how Dane's dad tried to have them killed worked perfectly. The guy was an idiot, even though he knows what was going on. I assume Violet's mom knows what's going on too with the venom, but didn't expect or know the actual plan, and were enraged that he might have shown the truth, and probably not like put her daughter in harm's way or something. Like, I think the main thing here was he took a risk of showing the world or Nevada that the venom is real, instead of just making it work and like having them on a normal mission. I think that's a really dumb plan, because as he failed here, he could have just gotten all of it exposed. Now, something that's kind of interesting is we don't usually, like if you read books like Harry Potter or something like that, where it's also about a school, we don't get that much like how do we see younger students. It's usually coincided to our own characters. But here we do see that. We see all of the cadets intro testing thing, like I think, isn't it called a parapet or something like that, but to cross that bridge. And it's kind of fun seeing it from another angle, because it do reframes how all the older cadets like treats the new ones, like why they were so cold and all that. And I do like that. That's an interesting aspect that I wish were explored more. Like we do get it a lot with Violet refusing to learn the names except for very, very few of them. I think that's great and all, but I'd like to see more of it from other characters, or explored more why specifically only Violet cares like that. And so that moves me on to something else that's just kind of dumb, but also like good. I don't know how to describe it, because we also know that Satan and Violet's dragons are bonded, of course, so they can't stay apart from each other for long. And so they have orders for how often Satan and Violet can meet, which is kind of insane, because we know the military can control dragons. That's been established all along. So this is more of a trying to show that we care more about acting strong than actually being strong. And it just shows how deep the corruption and idiocy and the pettiness runs. And I do like it, but is it a unique thing? No, it's not. Was it super predictable that that's gonna happen? Yes. But did it work for the story? I honestly think it did. You don't need to redo things, like you don't need to reinvent things for it to work. There's a reason why we have tropes and stuff like that. It works, just make it your own. I think with mixed results, Yaros made it her own, but I definitely think it wasn't too bad. Now, we're going to skip ahead a bit, because I ended up reading a lot, because I actually had a decent time with it, so I forgot to write notes. So I want to talk about Varish a little. I feel like he has a small dick. He strikes me as the type of guy with a small dick, and definitely very insecure about it. Because he tries and succeeds at making Violet's life tough, but he's using a strategy where he knows what he's demanding isn't up for her to decide. And what's dumb about it is he could probably just punish her equally as cruelly for the failing of the running landing. Because like they have to do the dragon swoops in, and then the person has to jump off and go run and land nicely. But Violet doesn't do that, because Tian won't let her, and because she'll break her bones because she's so weak. And she's not getting punished for that, but she's getting punished for not bringing Adana for the flight training or whatever. And it's like, okay, he can control Adana, sure enough, because he can just punish Violet, but they know he can't kill her, because then the dragons might die, and Satan might die, and Escale might... Escale? Scales. Oh my god, her name's Pawn. I just got that. Scale. Oh my fuck. Tearing scales. Is that the pawn? Oh my god. I love it. So good. 10 out of 10. Okay, I just got that. So, God damn it. Okay. I can't think about it. Okay. So, let me try again. So, he orders her to do something that she can't decide. Instead of punishing for something which technically you could argue she could decide, she has a bit of it, more of a decide. And to me, that just screams small dick energy. Like, that's granted. That's the vibe I get. I get small dick energy from him. I don't get a small dick from him. I just get the energy. Don't worry. And let's talk about Varys, some more about Varys. He also strikes me as the type of guy on the internet who would say any fighter is weak if they can't beat the challenger no matter the size difference. You know who we're talking about here. All those MMA, if you can't beat anybody in a fight, your martial arts is useless. Like, it's just dumb. There's a reason why we have weight classes, first of all. And I'm not saying a smaller person can beat a much larger opponent. I'm saying it's one hell of a bigger challenge than if they were of equal size. And we do see, the reason I'm bringing that up is because Violet were attacked by someone bigger than her from behind and she managed to survive and win. And you're still like, oh, you barely survived, you are useless to us. Like, dude, twice the size. You got the jump on him, what do you expect? Now, let's get away from the small dick guy. And let's talk about the RCS mission. I do not remember what it stands for though. Reconnaissance something mission. I do like it actually. Because it shows the groups have no idea how to work together, nor do they trust each other. And the fact that it then fails is perfect. Because that's what you would expect. They've never been trained together, they've been kept apart. They're in the same school but different quarters. So how the school works, if we take the symbol here, let me say, alright, we have 4 quarters. We have the healer, the scribe, the infantry, and the dragon riders. Then each area, let's take the clouds, is what separated. Am I just finding all the symbolism? Is this a symbolism? I don't think so, but that would be cool. But then if you take each cloud, like we have 4th wing, tail section or whatever, so like each is separated in. So it works as 4 different small schools in different places. Well, in the same area. And that's why the circle is like, it's one big area, but with 4 different, and we don't touch. So it works that when they then are forced on a mission together, they have no idea how to work together. No idea what they're doing. And during the mission, Reed tells Violet that she will wait until she's ready to talk. Because Reed values their friendship. Isn't that showing empathy, Violet? I don't know. Wasn't there something about not knowing what empathy was, being shocked by it because they never showed it at school? I don't remember. Maybe the first book had something like that going on. It did, and I hate it. And we do get sort of a callback later on in to the previous book, with Violet using poison to help Sloane, because Sloane is very, very bad at fighting, just like Violet was. However, I think I don't buy what Violet's selling with this mission, with this way of doing it, because she's using powder and then she goes coughs it all over the place, and then it's supposed to just float over and only hit the one fighter Sloane is up against. I mean, no. First and foremost, it's a dust. People can see dust moving. Second of all, it would just go everywhere. You might be able to direct it with blowing the wind or whatever. I don't believe you can blow it that hard to get it over there, and then it would probably also hit Sloane. So I really think the execution was bad, but I think the callback is a great idea. And I just think it could have been done better. I think if she literally just did what she did in the first book, which was poisoning the food, it would have been so much better. What I do like though is that Sloane have to be forced to learn to fight by keeping the letters away from her. And I think the reason why I like it is because Imogen? The thing is, Imogen is so close to Imorn, which means tomorrow in Danish, that I can't read her as anything other than tomorrow. Alright, so tomorrow compares, I'm gonna call her that. Tomorrow compares Violet to Satan in being shrewd. And I also think that like, wait, I also do think Violet and Satan do pair each other with, because Satan is more shrewd in the cruel and hearted way, whereas Violet is more in the sneaky, controlling, manipulating what they already want way, but not as cruel feeling. Tomorrow also has a great point about trusting and absolute honesty. I stated both in this review and the previous that I think it was right of Violet to be this angry and demanding honesty, and I'll stand by that anytime. But absolute honesty, as Tomorrow points out, won't ever be something Satan can deliver, and expecting it is just wrong. But for all his flaws, Satan is still too perfect of a character. Why can't he speak sign language? What does that add to his character other than just make him more flawless in a weird way? Him not understanding would actually be better, since then he has to ask and trust what Violet's saying is true about Jacina. The fight would be renewed with more anger, and whatever calmness they had collected when they were getting the books were gone. It would add some more tension, it would add some more character, it would be great. So, on the other hand, something I do like a lot is when they're fighting in their heads and they're just staring at each other, and Rhea and Riddock are just applying some commentary. So I don't remember what book it's like. Are they fighting? I think they are. Oh, I think Vi is currently winning the fight because Satan might have shown a face or something. I think they're so fun. But honestly, I think the flaws Satan has is just too superficial. Like, they're too much. You are perfect in every way except for these few flaws. Because not knowing sign language is not a flaw. It's more just weird he would randomly know it, but we never got established that he knew anybody who spoke, like, who didn't speak. So why would he know sign language? Right? That's what I'm getting at. Okay, let's leave that down and let's talk about how Tam finally lost his cool with Varys and Solas. Solas is Varys' dragon, so both of them have very small dicks. And we got to see Tam establish control without ruining it for Violet too much. And what I like about it is we get to see more of how dragon societies work, and I want more of that. I asked for more about it in the first book, and I still want more. Well, I guess I'm not getting it, so I'll move on again. The PTSD that Violet is working her way through is deep, and she really isn't doing herself many favors not talking about it. And when Tomorrow says that shutting people out is Satan's way, not Violet's way, it felt great because Tomorrow understands them. What I would like it then is for them to give Tomorrow more character development, like a lot more, because she gets none, and I want her to become more of a character and less of just I'm there. So yeah, and so when she exploded on Rhea, like Violet, with the guilt and sadness from watching Liam dying in her arms, it felt good, it felt cathartic. It was just perfect. And you could physically see and feel Violet getting better and really understanding, and now knows that they are still best friends and that Violet just didn't want to throw it all over her. Now, let's skip quite a bit, or else we'll be here forever. I mean, it's already 15 minutes and we're only halfway through the book. I like how you can tell all the teachers hate Varys and are actually empathic humans, wait, no. Empathy is not a thing in this school. Scratch that. Yeah, that's what I had to say. I mean, every time I can point out the empathy, I will, because I do like the interrogation scenario. I think it was fun and it showed the trust of the team. Also, wait, what? Oh yeah, also how Violet debated what to tell the team as the secret they have to reveal to each other. And I think we saw some character development in this book. I mean, wild. And it's from Dane. Because Varys was correct, they wouldn't break the rules, technically. But the fact that it left Dane with a way out and a way to show Violet he cares was great. And I think Violet being a bitch towards Dane, he didn't do the bare minimum. He rejected an order from the superior. I think she owes him a thanks, because he could have said, I'm following orders, that's the most important part, blah blah blah. But no. Um, let's talk about. So I think we get some great character development from Dane. We see he grown, he matured, he understood that just because the rules are the rules doesn't mean that you shouldn't show empathy. Wait, the rules are the rules. We don't show empathy. Damn it, Dane! You ruined the book. Alright. The propaganda paper is probably my favorite thing in the first section. It was great to see how easily everyone got fooled and how close Violet was to figure it out, but in way different ways. And yet still they got fooled because then they trusted him. And Sale being controlling freak needs to be punished more. I'm glad Violet gets angry with him, but she needs to stay angry. I don't get why we still glorify and accept this manipulative behavior we see. She should be yelling, scolding him, and demanding he listen and do some introspection. But now she just gets horny and flustered as soon as he opens his mouth. And to be honest, in this fantasy romance, so far the romance part is really bad. The heist was pretty good though. It shows how the arrogance and fear of being revealed is what keeps it so easy. You could say the need of a royal to get in is quite high defense. So, I mean pick and choose, I guess. And then they straight into the torture scene. Given how the book, when it comes to sex, isn't afraid of going into details, like we get how he plays with the clit, how she sucks his cock, all that stuff. The torture scene were very tame. Where was the waterboarding, the pulling out fingernails, cutting fingers off, the psychological torture in general also, the removal of teeth. It was good on paper, well in idea I guess, but the execution just needed so much more. I wanted it to be more dark. It had to be pitch black with how this book works. I think that would have been so much better how we got described nails getting pulled halfway out and like he made them back and getting pulled back out. I mean, oh, that would have been so bad. Describe how he would lift up a finger slowly, peeling it back. How he would cut a little around and just pull the skin slowly. Like stuff like that. It would have been so fucking good. It would have been, it would have been gross, but it would have worked. One aspect I think Jarl did perfect in every single way. We never know what if Liam was actually a ghost or not. So good. I think it was great he was there, because you could argue it's the actual ghost because magic is a thing, so it wouldn't be too out of the ordinary. But we also get that it could also just be something her brain conjured up. And I like the ambiguity. Keep that. And yeah, I think I'm gonna say we move on to section 2, which is gonna be the second half of this book. So let's take a look at the second half. So, after I had read the first 5-ish chapters of part 2, I noticed I was smiling and I was having a great time with the book. It honestly gets better in the second half. And I mean, it's not the biggest of books, but it is quite a thick book still. Like luckily the text size is pretty large, but still, it's still a pretty decent sized book, so it's also a little sad, but I do like that it gets better. I also do like that they decide to keep it like a school for the cadets and them staying in their wings when they go to Satan's castle basically. I do like that. Not necessarily talk about, but I do wanted to add that in that I did like they did that. Now let's talk something about one of my biggest gripes, which is the romance. I do believe the romance between Satan and Violet gets better. It's not perfect how I would want it, but it's better. There's more of a puppy love thing going on with mutual consent, and the toxic traits are less there. I'm also so glad that Adana finally woke up. I miss her banter with Ter and her sassy personality. And yeah, that was just so good. Something that I don't like, well I did like, I'm trying to read my notes here and it's kind of confusing me what I was trying to say. Okay, let's try and go through. So I like how Violet and her siblings left to get that luminary, and meeting Satan there at that castle thing was okay. I'm just glad that it wasn't just Satan knowing, but Tan had to reveal it. I just wished he would, like that Satan would trust Violet and not just be an overprotective jerk, which I'm so glad Violet compared him to Dane. It felt so cathartic. And it was so much deserved. And he kind of turned worse than Dane in some regards. In some regards, they were kind of equally bad. And so I also like how Violet is able to think and come up with smart solution. And she knows she can't aim for shit, and she knows water and metal conduct electricity, and so she uses that knowledge. This is in the fight against the Venom fighter rider thing that the enemy, like the people had captured and were letting loose just to see her ability, like basically trying to kill everybody. So yeah, I do like that. And in this section here, especially, it wasn't too bad in the first half, but in this section here, Yaos is back to the unnecessary time skips. Like, we skipped from agreeing on the plan to starting it, even though there was still unfinished business. I honestly think it's so dumb. Like, let's just agree on not doing unnecessary time skips. I want to know how they agreed, like what the plan, like how they decided on different parts of the plan. Now, the plan is of course climbing this mountain here, which everybody was very apprehensive about, and I do like it. On paper it was perfect, it was a good idea. I just think it could do with more detail. Like, slow down the pace, give us more of the trials and tribulations of that mountain. We're told it's nearly impossible to traverse, yet it doesn't feel that difficult. And I do like how we see Dane is slowly winning back Violet's trust. And so, something I didn't like in this book was another antagonist to create a love triangle, basically. Well, more of a love V, to be honest, because it's Violet, Satan, and then whatever that other girl, I don't remember her name. Like, Cat. Yeah, her name is, her shortened name is Cat, I don't remember her full name. Like, I don't need that. Like, it's too petty for 20-year-olds to have that problem. And general mistrust would just work better. And you could just have Cat hate Violet because of her mom and sister or something like that. Because they would, like, her mom and sister are so good at fighting griffins that Cat hating Violet for that is good enough. We've seen that plenty of times in the book and it works. It would give the same overall feeling and tension. But the love triangle attempt just kind of falls flat, given we know how Satan feels. The tension is gone. I know Violet is not supposed to know how much Satan doesn't care about her, but it just doesn't work for the reader. So even though what on paper should work, it just doesn't. Now let's talk about something great, because I do prefer talking about great stuff. I like Adana is finally getting a larger role. Not only is Assassin's a great change of pace, it's also fun. I like Violet's commenting that if Tarn said the grass is green, Adana would go kill a goat to turn it red just to say, no, look, it's red. Stuff like that's funny and made for great character moments. And Adana getting a bigger role in the cave mission where they had to fight Solas was great. It was great. Again, we see Violet using ingenuity to solve her problems, but we also get to see Adana fight, and even though she's hopelessly outmatched, it's still just enough for Violet to gain an advantage. And I love it. I think we need more of stuff like that. Afterwards, we get what's probably my favorite scene in the book, which is Satan and Violet are talking like a couple. They aren't just fighting, they're working through their problems and being honest to each other. We don't see Satan being controlling, and we don't see Violet being unfair. We see two adults admitting their flaws and discussing what to do. And I like it. Now let's do what Jarvis does a lot. Let's skip ahead to the meeting of Malcolm and Violet's mom. The story takes a funny turn here where the general knows he needs the help of the Rebillion. And I like how they take a stand, but I love how it isn't a unified Rebillion behind the stand. To me, that is more important than the stance itself. I'm not sure I like that it's Violet who figures everything out. Well, it feels like if it isn't Satan, it's Violet who figures everything out. I would prefer if we got more from others. I do like it isn't Satan though, but it would be funny if it was Rihanna or someone like that who were just like, oh shit, this is probably what's going on. And like generally that the entire thing with those two being the only two people who can think, like, we told Brennan is a brilliant strategist. Why isn't he the one figuring this out? I don't get it. Or the teachers could. You know, the teachers might have some knowledge that the students do. Right? I don't know. The sacrifice of Violet's mom was probably meant to feel emotional and redeeming. I didn't feel that. Honestly, didn't care for it. It would have been better if all the, like, Violet's friends that couldn't fight, like they got injured, had on their own decided to come down and help her with limping and bleeding everywhere. And Violet seeing all these people nearly burning out, and her mom is the one who probably leads the church. Maybe she's the one who can drag them, and they're like, Violet needs your help. If you care for her, come help her now. And then Violet's mom is the one who adds the most power because she's not her, and then burns herself out for that final bit. That would have been so much better in my opinion. Also, I don't get why she needed Sloane. Did I miss something there? Because Violet didn't need her. Like, Brennan has shown he didn't need them on the other wards, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, and so the final revelation about Satan really didn't move the needle. It was predictable, and honestly, I don't think it was necessary. I think we have plenty of adversaries in this story. Because it was just I don't know. I hope the next book doesn't end with a fight scene. They're good, it's not that, but now then you will start overplaying your hand, yours. Add the fight scene in the middle or something. I would, to be honest, have preferred if this book ended with them taking the stance to defend the school, and then the next book is basically just a fight. That would have been fun. But how this ended, that's fine. Let's get a conclusion like for the overall story. Just like the first one? Is this a unique story? No. Is it a great story? No. Is it a decent time? Yes. This book has gotten a lot of criticism, and I've given the arrows a lot too. It is far from a perfect book, but I had a decent time. It's a slog, but it's a decent slog. You don't want those books where you know this isn't that good, but you're entertained, and really that's all that matters. Reading is a hobby to entertain you, so it's fine if you don't read perfect books from time to time. Should you read the sequel or the next one? Only if you really like the first one, to be honest. I still think a lot of toxic romance traits you see everywhere is in this book, and it seems to not understand how and when to use time skips. And also, it does not know what empathy is, apparently. Well, next time we'll be reviewing The Haunted Bookshop, A Gateway to a Parallel Universe Book 3, which has such an insanely long title, so look forward to that. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe for more. Bye!